Gino, you son of a bitch!
You're not gonna open with that, are you?
What an opening. What an amazing opening for an action film, for any film for that matter. It's got to be Seagal's greatest opening ever. Out for Justice, that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Oh, by the way, I was watching a video from these guys on a Cinemassacre channel. They did an Under Siege video recently, and I need to restore balance to the universe. There was just a lot of hate in that video.
He did Above the Law, Out for Justice, Marked for Death, Hard to Kill, and that kind of got to the point where they trusted him with this. But yeah, he's probably the worst part of this movie.
Like, I hate him sometimes. I just fucking hate him.
Oh my god.
On this channel, we love Steven Seagal, so we got to get some balance back to the action cinematic universe. Kind of like Benedict Cumberbatch in Sherlock Holmes.
I'm restoring balance to the universe.
You know the thing that really kind of bugged me, though? These guys, they fat-shame Steven Seagal from Under Siege.
Steven Seagal starts off in the beginning of the movie looking pretty cool, but by the end of it, he looks like he gained 15 pounds.
He probably did.
Like, seriously, there's a part where, like, he's sitting down, and he looks, like, chunkier.
Fat shaming wasn't cool when that movie came out, and I know critics made fun of him. And fat shaming, especially nowadays, not cool, with the whole body positivity movement and everything. So, I mean, so Steven Seagal is, you know, maybe he's not a perfectly sculpted Adonis like the guys on Cinemassacre, but they should leave him alone from a physical standpoint, because not everybody's perfect, you know? But anyway, let's talk about Out for Justice. Let's show Steven Seagal some love. Let's appreciate this movie.
I was never a big Seagal guy, but I just wanted to get schooled on him and hear, like, what was I missing? And all I'm hearing is
Nothing.
that
No,
he's
there's
shit.
nothing. It's
Well, watch this video, James Rolfe, because maybe you'll get a little more out of Steven Seagal, a little more appreciation than your friends were able to enlighten you on. So Out for Justice is Steven Seagal's fourth movie, his third one with Warner Brothers. It came out in 1991 and debuted at #1 at the box office. By this time in Seagal's career, he had garnered a pretty loyal following among action fans who were looking forward to seeing another one of his gritty action crime films. The original script, called The Price of Our Blood, was written by novelist R. Lance Hill, who's also known for Roadhouse, among other things. However, this script was completely rewritten by Steven Seagal, who felt that Hill's screenplay didn't reflect the reality of Brooklyn or took full advantage of the animosity and broken friendship between his character Gino and the villain of the film, Richie. Director John Flynn, who's also known for the Sylvester Stallone classic Lockup, later claimed the original title was The Price of Our Blood, was a title that Steven Seagal and himself really wanted, but Warner Brothers said no. It had to be a three-word title like the other Steven Seagal films: Above the Law in 1988, Hard to Kill, and Marked for Death. Overall, the story is pretty simple but interesting. It's one of revenge. Seagal essentially just wants to kill the man that killed his friend and fellow police officer Bobby Lupo. The entire movie takes place over the course of one day in a Brooklyn neighborhood as he tracks this guy down. The guy, named Richie Madano, by the way, is brilliantly played by William Forsythe, who does a really good job of playing a man who is completely drugged out of his mind, who knows it's his last day here. Not only is Seagal after him, but the police are, as well as the mob. It's really a race to see who catches him first. And he's not alone in this, by the way, as he promises his goons that if they stick by him tonight, they'll be handsomely rewarded.
You guys stick by me, all that money's yours.
Holy shit. That's a lot of fucking money, Rich. We stuck with you two war shit for free.
However, things don't exactly turn out that great for them. As far as the motivation for the main villain, it's also one of revenge. Richie goes off and kills Seagal's friend Bobby Lupo dead in broad daylight, in front of the man's family no less, because Bobby was boinking Richie's girlfriend, among other things. Usually the villain in a movie is expected to have some great plan, but this is not the case with Richie. He's a scorned lover that not only killed Bobby, but also his own girlfriend that cheated on him, and he does this before the story even really begins. Now Richie knows he's going to pay for this, and he's just trying to enjoy himself in a drug and debauchery-filled binge on what he knows is his last night here. The film does a good job of playing within the gray areas, the so-called line that both the cops and the mob tend to occasionally cross.
Where I could see you.
There's a certain way things are properly done within the mob, and if someone in their ranks don't operate within a certain set of rules, the mob has a way of dealing with them. As far as blurring the lines, I really like the scene where Steven Seagal and the mobster talk about God being the puppeteer.
always wanted to be a wise guy. Look at us now under God. Who would have ever thought that I would have become a cop, huh?
Hey, Lucky, you know, we God's a puppeteer. And we're just on the end of the strings.
Yeah, but God has a strange sense of humor, you gotta admit.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I really feel like action movies in the 90s did a much better job of at least trying to develop and humanize their characters. For example, during Steven Seagal's quest for revenge, he's pretty much in the process of finalizing a divorce. And it's interesting to see how the death of his friend, as well as a meeting with Richie's parents, has him reflecting on his own life.
How can I keep you from killing my son?
You told Richie to get a lawyer. Have him turn himself in. If not, I'm gonna kill him.
This subplot culminates in him rethinking his divorce and has him reconciling with his wife as he reflects on his own father while growing up.
We always used to tell everybody, Pop died from cancer. I believe he died of a broken heart.
I'm really proud of what you do. And I know how everybody loves you. But Tony needs a father. And I need a husband.
What are we talking? Reconciliation over here? Huh?
No, we're talking a lifetime deal. All or nothing.
I could do that. That I could do.
So a lot of us are here for the action, the aikido moves from Seagal, but I think it's important to have moments like this in an action film. It actually makes you care about the character, and I think that's a problem with a lot of action films nowadays, where you just don't give a crap about the characters.
I want this man run.
You know, Vic, you never understood nothing about the neighborhood, did you? Huh?
No, I guess I never did.
Well, let me tell you something. You kill a cop on 18th Avenue in front of 100 witnesses, you're gonna die. The only difference is, this guy wants to die in his own neighborhood, all right?
There's also an interesting subplot involving an abandoned dog, and it does a good job of showing off Steven Seagal's own animal rights activism, who along with Jean-Claude Van Damme are big-time animal lovers in real life. It has a really good payoff near the end of the film.
Yo, fuck nuts!
You talking to me?
I'm an animal lover, you know?
Animal lover?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You're a tough guy, huh?
Tough guy. I'll show you how fucking tough I am.
As far as the music goes, Steven Seagal went to composer David Michael Frank's house to approve all the music before it was recorded. David Michael Frank, by the way, also worked on the music for Seagal's Above the Law and Hard to Kill prior to this. Steven Seagal also helped co-write some of the music in Out for Justice as well. In the book Seagalogy, Verne described the music as real good, saying, "There's less cheesy electric guitar noodling and keyboards than in previous Seagal films, and more low notes to warn you when some cold shit's about to go down." Here's a prime example here.
What are you looking at? Huh?
This score is by far better than his previous 3 films, and Verne in Seagalogy even describes it as Jaws meets Terminator. As far as the fight scenes go, Seagal is certainly in top form, and let's face it, the fight scenes are definitely one of the reasons we like to watch Seagal, the great aikido master in any film. So a couple of things worth noting. Steven Seagal declared in an interview that the movie's bar brawl was his personal favorite among all fights he's done. The setup's really great, by the way. Look how he's bouncing the pool ball here, for example.
Benny, you won't be over here using my belt for like your legal means, would you?
Steven Seagal's character Gino fights a character called Styx in the bar, played by veteran martial artist Dan Inosanto. Now, he is one of Bruce Lee's best friends and one of the 3 people Bruce Lee let train others in Jeet Kune Do. He's also a master stick fighter and has studied multiple disciplines. He's actually the person who taught Bruce Lee to use nunchucks. And it's really funny to see a scene prior to this, by the way, as the mob visiting the pool hall had a much gentler way of approaching things.
You find them, otherwise the next time we come back here, you're coming with us.
Overall, the violence in the movie is pretty hardcore. In fact, during an interview in 2007, when Seagal was asked what his favorite death scene was, he said, "I thought the way I killed Richard Forsyth in Out for Justice was pretty cool." Richard would have been way better off if he didn't run out of bullets.
What are you gonna do? You gonna arrest me, huh? You gonna arrest me? I'm out of bullets!
That's a shame. Because those bullets could have saved you a lot of pain.
During the filming of the showdown between Gino and Richie, Steven Seagal broke William Forsythe's front tooth when he shoved his face into a brick wall. Looking at the scene here, I'm kind of surprised he didn't just use a stunt guy, but it really does look like it was Richard Forsythe. Another very memorable scene is in the butcher shop where Seagal has to dispatch these goons here. Interesting note, as of 2020, this butcher shop where Gino beats up some of Richie's goons on the corner on 5th Avenue and 52nd Street in Brooklyn is an ice cream parlor and pizzeria called Pino's. Gino tells a story of going to a candy store with a mob enforcer called Pino when he was a child, by the way, so it's kind of a cool coincidence. Now, Steven Seagal has played several Italian-American characters in his career, including the role in this film, and he has said that he's often mistaken for being Italian-American himself, something that I believed when I was a kid watching this movie for the first time in the 90s. Now, bear in mind, this was pre-internet days, so we really didn't have any way to verify things, and to me, at least at the time, he definitely looked and sounded Italian. Though he speaks it here, Steven Seagal is actually not fluent in Italian, but he is fluent in Japanese. So anyway, guys, I hope we help restore the balance in the action cinema universe, giving Seagal some love instead of all that hate's going around. But what do you guys think about Out for Justice, by the way? I think it's one of his best films. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.